Can you specifically talk about how in the borderline level of functioning, you have identity diffusion and primitive defenses? And can you talk about the primitive defenses that you see? How do you identify them?
Freud had defined the ego defenses against awareness of unconscious conflicts, particularly repression and related defenses of suppression, rationalization, intellectualization, reaction formation. Those were unconscious defenses to be discovered in the course of psychoanalytic treatment, searching for the unconscious conflicts of these patients. Melanie Klein, who influenced me very importantly in my psychoanalytic development, discovered a group of primitive defenses centering around splitting or primitive dissociation, in which the way to deal with conflicts between love and aggression by sharp splitting of the emotional experience. So it is not a neurotic patient may act lovingly and represses his aggression, or he may act aggressively and represses his loving potential. Borderline patients express simultaneously love and aggression, but under different emotional conditions. And they have memory of when they felt opposite to the way they feel now, but can't help it and have to feel now the way they feel now. So when they feel enraged, they are all rage, and there's no love. And when they feel love, all love and no rage, and they may shift from one to the other rather easily. So that's the mechanism of splitting. And it creates chaos in their relationship because they are violent and brusque changes of mood and attitude that creates difficulty with other people who in turn respond to that chaotic behavior with their own difficulties. And so personality disorders tend to create abnormal interactions with other people and distort all relationships. Another primitive mechanism is projective identification. Projective identification is a tendency to attribute to the other person what one cannot tolerate at the moment in oneself, so that while you are in a state of idealization, you project your own aggression onto somebody else, attribute somebody else as having aggressive motivation, aggressive behavior, and you induce it in him without being aware of it, and then try to control it. So projective identification is perception combined with induction, effort and control. It is the primitive form of what advanced mechanisms show in projection, which is attributing something internal to somebody else, but without any internal contact anymore with what you are projecting. In projection, you just declare the other one is what you are not, and you don't feel like that. In projective identification, you attribute it to the other one, but you know how it feels to feel like the other one, and you produce it in the other one, and you have to control it. So projective identification is primitive form of projection. Another mechanism is that of a very primitive idealization that doesn't tolerate an opposite of modifying it with the realization of your own aggression toward the ideal object. The idealization, or the higher level idealization, recognizes one's own limitations. The primitive one, there is somebody ideal, and you identified with that implicitly become ideal as well. And the wish to omnipotent control the other person, the effort to deny that you've had a feeling or an action that you've had, but it no longer exists because of splitting operation. This is the primitive mechanism. So splitting, projective identification, omnipotent control, denial. These are typical primitive defensive operations, and they show in the behavior of people. The advanced mechanism only show in the treatment. Primitive defenses show in the habitual behavior of people who use projective identification and splitting and omnipotent control and deny aspects of themselves that have been evident at other times. We can diagnose through these behaviors the personality disorder. How do we diagnose a personality disorder? We try to find out how the person is functioning in work and profession, love and sex, social life, family relation, self-affirmation, and free time, interests, hobbies. In the structural interview, what we ask people mostly, how are you doing in your work? Are you happy or not? Are you effective or not? Do you get along with other people or not? And we ask the same about their sexual life. Are you happy? Do you have a relationship? When sex becomes complicated, not only because it's a fundamental aspect of life that is in conventional reality is usually suppressed and highly privileged, because it involves implicitly the integration of the erotic dimension, sexual excitement, orgasm, sexual behavior, with the emotional feelings of love and tenderness. And when we study sexuality, we study the extent to which the erotic and the emotional have been integrated, which is what happens maturely, normally, in contrast to conflictual lack of integration, by which the erotic and the emotional remain separate and create serious problems in intimate relations. So we try to find out about that. And regarding social life, we find out to what extent a person has a social environment that enriches life, or feels isolated for whatever reason, incapable of establishing things such as social life, and to what extent is he able to establish relationship in depth, in friendship, not only in sexual love, or to what extent is this not possible. And with patients having borderline personality organization, usually there are serious problems in work and profession, in love and sex, and in their social life, family life, such as between parents and children. The careful study of functioning in present life leads to the diagnosis of the personality disorder.